The following program is rated TV MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, violence, and nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences.
You're now tuned into a Planet Fanatix production.
What's up and what's going on, fellow fanatics, and welcome back to another video. If you've been subscribed here or you've stumbled across any of my other Michael videos, then you know that to call myself a Michael Jackson fan would be an understatement. I'm a part of the Michael cult, honestly. I am a part of, I love this man as if I personally know this man. I love Michael Joseph Jackson. I think that he is the greatest, and that is again an understatement, the greatest entertainer of all time. There will never, ever, 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 ever in life be another Michael Jackson. Many of you, I grew up on Michael Jackson and at home, and I through my love for Michael came from my mother. I grew up on, my mom would play Whitney Houston, Prince, Marvin Gaye, The Temptations, Tina Turner, all of the greats, but of course Michael Jackson as well. And growing up in our household, listening to his music, dancing to his music, and that was, back in the early 90s to today, Michael Jackson's music still rings as if it's the first time you've heard it today. So it's no matter where you are, no matter who you are, Michael Jackson and his music transcends generations. You know who Michael Jackson is. Kids know who Michael Jackson is. I've used this example before. There are people on an island with no communication whatsoever, but if you show them a picture of Michael Jackson, they know who Michael Jackson is. Michael Jackson's music, again, it transcends generations and will forever transcend generations. Michael Jackson's name is subscribed into time. It will be here when I'm gone, when you're gone, when your children are gone, when their children's children are gone. People will still know who Michael Jackson is. And, through all of that, through all of the things that I grew up on, I told myself, I made it my mission to find out everything that there was to know about Michael Jackson. I wanted to be the biggest Michael Jackson fan that there possibly could be. I had a certain part on my wall in my bedroom that you could call a shrine if you want to, a Michael Jackson shrine, to where I had T-shirts, I had records from my mom's childhood. My mom even had she still has it, her Michael Jackson. She saw Michael in concert, and she has the ticket that she bought to this day. So I had that sitting on it. It's still hers. She didn't let me obviously have that, but I had that sitting on the display. I had posters. I had so many different things, dedicated to Michael Jackson just because of my love for this man. And then of course, there was in 2009 when he passed, a day that I will never forget again, as if I know him personally. The world stood still because Michael, again, transcended cultures. It wasn't just within the black households that Michael was played. Michael was played in the white households, the Asian households, the Hispanic households. He was played across all races, all generations, and that's what made Michael. He was the first black artist, the first artist to be played on MTV, and to have him breaking color barriers. It was just Michael, just a light, and then to have all of the negative and, again, innocent, and because he was not proven guilty on all accounts, just a light, a misunderstood light in some aspects, I believe, too, especially if you know how this man grew up, how his life was. And for me, I learned a lot, not from just my own personal research that I did on Michael and his life and his upbringing and everything like that when I first got introduced to Mike, but also the best iteration of Mike's life growing up, in my opinion, is the Jackson's The American Dream biopic that was originally done. That one is great. It's quite long, but it is very great. You see the boys go from, it starts with Joe meeting Cat, and it starts with Joe and his band, and then him meeting Cat and going on from there, and then obviously having the boys and starting the band and going on to be the Jacksons, being Michael Jackson and being the family that we all know. Fantastic iteration. And I've used that as an example. This is one to top. This is the one to top. And for everything that we've seen from the behind the scenes photos for this, with Jafar, his nephew, looking and embodying, as you can see in this picture here, embodying Michael Jackson, looking exactly like his uncle. And it's not just the looks either. I'm not going to go as far as to say that he sounds exactly like Mike either, because he does not. But he's got that Jackson tone.
No judging if you misbehave. find a way if we try. Don't give up on me. I know you dream about it. It's okay to want me. It's okay to want me. It's the perfect moment, and you're worth it to me. You're so safe around me. Just promise me you won't let go. If I take control, can you go there with me? I need you to go there, babe. I wonder.
In an interview, he's talked about that, how they all have these similar tones, and when they speak and when they sing, and it's very true, they do.
I always
The
say
Jacksons are
within my whole family, we all have a very similar tone when we speak and when we sing.
Right.
So you can tell each other apart once you really hear it.
Oh.
Like my voice, it's lower than my Uncle Michael's. He has a high pitch.
Yeah.
But we all have a similar tone in our voice. It's just strong genes, I'd say.
Wow.
But I definitely got inspired by his music. Always up until now, and growing up I'd watch his concerts on DVDs and tapes and just study his moves, and of course the Jackson 5 and seeing the cartoon and all that stuff.
true, they
inspired
do.
music.
The Jacksons are a very, very, very special family. You know, say what you want. It was myself and Q, my co-host, that were talking about this. We were talking about how, you know, say what you will about Joe Jackson, and of course, you know, people do, and I have said things about Joseph Jackson too, but I'm talking as far as when the boys were younger. I'm not talking about the things after they got older and the affairs and things that were going on with Joe. I'm talking more so about, you know, he had a vision and he made that vision come true for his kids. You know, some people call it abuse, some people call it whatever, but it got the Jacksons to where they are. And still to this day, we are still talking and ready for a Michael Jackson biopic. You know, Mike passed in 2009 and he is still the greatest entertainer of all time. So say what you will about Joe. He had a vision and he made that vision come true. And with that vision, now Lionsgate, who is putting on this film here, says that the Michael Jackson biopic will be the biggest movie that they have ever made. And this is coming from MovieWeb, but it's an interview that they did with The Hollywood Reporter. And it goes on to say, Lionsgate upcoming Michael Jackson biopic is shaping up to be the biggest release of all time, according to one of the studio's bosses. While there have been several big musical biopics in the last several years, from Bohemian Rhapsody to Elvis, Michael is already catching the attention of the pop star megastar fans. And that could help push the film to new heights. And of course, you know, there are so many Michael fans. That's why I just said, if you go to an island where they don't have shit for shit, they don't have toilet paper to wipe their ass, but they know who the fuck Michael Jackson is.
Elle mourrait certainement.
Vous savez ce que c'est, ça? C'est la neige. Dans les pays froids tombent des morceaux blancs, très glacés, et après les hommes glissent dessus. Okay. Vous savez qui c'est?
Michael Jackson.
Comment vous savez?
Je l'ai vu une fois à la télé à la ville.
Il y en a combien qui le connaissent? Les vieux le savent?
Non, on ne le connaît pas. Jamais entendu parler.
On dit que c'est la première star planétaire. On dit que n'importe quel endroit dans le monde, quelqu'un connaît Michael Jackson. Donc même dans votre tribu, les jeunes le connaissent.
Everybody knows who Michael Jackson is. Again, it's the name. It's not just the name. He himself is iconic. He is in a lane of his own, an untouchable lane of his own. There will never be an artist, and I really didn't even want to go into this and bring this up, but the comparisons, the ridiculous comparisons that are being made between Taylor Swift and Michael Jackson. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a Swiftie, and I'm not here. I don't want the Swifties coming for me at all. But I'm saying this. I want to say this about Taylor Swift. She is an artist and a great artist in her own right. But to compare that artist to Michael Jackson, no. There is no artist doing the things that Michael Jackson did or is still doing as in death. As I've said before, we're talking about a man in concerts who would pop out of the ground and you would have people fainting before he even opened his mouth to sing. You would have people getting taken out of the arena on stretchers. And I'm not just talking about people on the front row. We're talking about people that were 80 rows back. Just being in the mere presence of Michael Jackson was making people pass out. Taylor Swift doesn't have that ability. I've not, and correct me if I'm wrong, I've not seen any videos going around of people at Taylor Swift concerts passing out when she comes out with those stale ass unseasoned dance moves. I've never seen that. But when Michael Jackson came out on stage, the man didn't even get a chance to speak, and people are screaming, people are passing out, people are missing the concert. Then he goes to take his shades off, and the sound in the arena elevates. That is not something you can replicate. That is not something that will ever be replicated. Michael Jackson, again, lane of his own. So when you hear that this is going to be one of the biggest movies that they're predicting of that they've ever made, that does not shock me, because we're talking about the greatest and biggest artist that has ever graced us with his presence on this earth. So yeah, I definitely believe that for sure. Goes on to say, it is hard to deny that when it comes to the musical artists, both dead or alive, Michael Jackson continues to be seen as one of the greatest. It has been nearly 15 years since the King of Pop passed away, and his music has only grown in popularity over the years. From those who have grown up on his music or casual listeners drawn in by his hits like Thriller or Smooth Criminal, his influence has crossed many generations. This is something that Lionsgate is banking on by releasing the upcoming biopic. In fact, they're so confident in it that they believe it could very well be the biggest film they've ever released. Yeah, you should believe that. It goes on to say, during a chat with The Hollywood Reporter, Jim Packer, president of the worldwide television distribution at Lionsgate, spoke about how his studio film and TV production and library business will be very IP focused as it cranks out franchises. This is when the topic turned to Michael, the Michael Jackson biopic directed by Fakwa. It was a small blurb, but significant in its confidence, Packer said. The buzz that we're getting every time a photo gets released is kind of crazy, and I think that this will be the biggest movie we have ever had. And I talked about the behind the scenes photos at the beginning of this. There have been some great behind the scenes photos come out. I don't think we've seen any behind the scenes photos of the brothers themselves, but we know who's playing the brothers. We've seen all the well, not all of them, but we've seen, the initial picture that Jafar posted. I think it's this one here. The initial picture that Jafar or one of them. This is one of them. This is not the first picture that he posted. The initial picture he posted of him on his Twitter or in Instagram of Mike for announcing that he was playing Mike in the biopic. And then, of course, there was the iconic one that came out, the top one here of him as Mike. There's been the Off the Wall album premiere cover of him on there. There's been some great photos, and he really, really is embodying Mike. So in the buzz around those photos, as the president said here, it's crazy online. I don't know if you're in the Michael Jackson spaces or anything like that, but the buzz around it's crazy. They go ahead to talk about how pricey the biopic is, and says that it's very possible that Michael could be one of the biggest musical biopics of all time. Given that the international appeal of Michael Jackson, Lionsgate must believe in its appeal given its reported $150 million budget, with some reports saying it's as high as $155 million. Question the blockbuster's level budget of the biopic, but the film, which is being made with full cooperation from the Jackson estate and his family, likely had to spend a fortune on Jackson's music rights alone. According to Bohemian Rhapsody producer Graham King, over 30 songs by the prolific performer are being used in this film. And that is something we've known too, is that the Jackson estate and the family are heavily involved with this film. It goes on to say, written by John Logan, Michael will see Jackson's real-life nephew, Jafar Jackson, playing him in the film. The movie will also mark Jafar's film debut, and he will be capably supported by the likes of Coleman Domingo, Nia Long, Miles Teller, Laura Harrer, Kat Graham, Lorenz Tate, and Derek Luke. Here's the film's official synopsis, courtesy of Lionsgate. Michael will bring audiences a riveting and honest portrayal of the brilliant yet complicated man who became known worldwide as the King of Pop. This epic cinematic film will examine Jackson's triumphs and tragedies, from his human side to his public and private struggles, to the accusations and the 24/7 media microscope Jackson lived under. Even at his artistic apex, the all-star filmmaker team will also capture Michael's undeniable creative genius, recreating his most memorable, iconic performances. As never before, audiences will experience an inside look at one of the most influential, trailblazing artists the world has ever known. Goes on to say, filming wrapped on Michael on May 30th, and the moment was captured by the film's production company GK Films on their Instagram page with the caption that reads, "And that's a wrap. Thank you to the best cast and crew we could ever ask for. See you soon, Moonwalkers." So that is the article there from Hollywood Reporter, Lionsgate calling it one of the biggest films that they think they've ever done. And if you've seen Bohemian Rhapsody or you saw Elvis, I think Bohemian Rhapsody was great. I actually really love that biopic. I love these type of films and these type of series. Crown, I love The Crown. I love the Kennedys. I don't know if you've seen that limited series over the Kennedys and how how he got to the White House, along with the assassination and everything like that, how Bobby went to become president and his death and everything like that. I love these type of series and films based on true events. So I love these type of things. I think I'm really, really, really going to like this film. At least I pray that I'm really going to like this film. Again, the family is involved. The estate is involved. I think that this has been handled with care. Just from what we've seen from the behind the scenes things, just the confidence coming out from Lionsgate. Again, I think that this is going to be a great film, which brings me to the last thing I did want to say about this. I believe it was back in March. Back in March, there was the script had kind of leaked or reportedly leaked out. And this was something that was said in the script. And it says, according to a reporter from Matthew Bellion of Puck, the iteration of the screenplay read by the reporter shows that the movie digs into the accusations that MJ sexually abused children at his Neverland Ranch. The news is all the more surprising considering Jackson's estate is directly involved with the Farquaad directed biopic, which stars the late pop star's nephew Jafar Jackson in his acting debut. However, the context in which the topic is tackled appears to want to convince viewers that he's innocent. And before I even get into the quote, it's the wording here, convincing viewers that he's innocent. Who needs to be convinced that he's innocent? He was already proven innocent. It's the weirdos and the people that are after Mike's money, even in his death. And we're talking, pointing our fingers at Wade. Those type of people that are still digging and prying for a man's money when he was already proven innocent on all accounts. There's nothing that needs to be retold. There's no convincing that needs to be had because he's already been proven innocent. So coming into this film with the mindset that, oh, they're going to paint him as this child abuser, that's not real. That's not real at all. Again, he was already proven innocent. So the wording, convincing viewers, nobody needs to be convinced of shit. It goes on to say, if the script as written ends up on screen, this is the quote here, which is a big caveat here because words and scenes are often changed during shoots and not everything goes into the final cut. This will be super controversial, wrote Bellion. It not only engages, it wants very much to convince you Michael is innocent. Well, of course, again, his family is involved. The estate is involved. The very people that were screaming his innocence are involved. So, of course, it's going to paint him as what he was. It's a biopic. The biopic, and I'm not saying all biopics are true to the root of what they're telling, but this is a biopic. And from the beginning of this biopic, one thing that they set out to do, and they said this at the very beginning, was to tell the truth of what happened through the lens of Michael Jackson, through the lens of those who around him and cared about him and whatever, not through the lens of money-hungry individuals still trying to chase this man's money even in his death. So again, no one needs to be convinced of anything. It says it very much wants to convince you that Michael is innocent. And I don't even know why this is even a topic of conversation. Because the man was proven on all accounts that he was innocent, I don't know what the fuck the problem is. Of course, it's going to convince you again that he is innocent. The last thing, the quote here that he says, Bellion chose not to reveal too much of the script he reviewed out of respect of the filmmakers of the currently in production project. But he did reveal that the version he read actually opens with Jackson watching police arrive to his estate following the allegations made by the 13-year-old Jordan Chandler. The boy alleged in 1993 that Jackson molested him. The singer later reached a $20 million settlement with him. The screenplay is said to minimize the claim made against Jackson, including a scene in which lawyers John Branca and Johnny Cochran describe the allegations as an extortion attempt. Then the quote goes on to say, this assault, this scorching trauma will shake him to the core and never leave him. Reads one passage of the script, which includes a scene of him being strip searched by police. And we all know, if you know the Michael Jackson trial, you know how that went. You know how they humiliated him, how they, the things that they did to him during the strip search and everything like that. Mike talked about it in a video. So if you don't know that, go look at that. Another portion describes Jackson. He faced a criminal trial over 7 counts of alleged child molestation as uniquely comfortable around kids. Bronca in another scene says, "It's not the kids I'm worried about, it's the parents. He's opening his door to tons of people we don't know, and there's a lot of greedy people in the world." I mean, we all knew that the state talked about this. They talked about this at the very beginning, that the film was not going to shy away from the allegations, but they were going to tell it the way that it happened, the way that it was told, the way that they are planning to tell it, the truth. So none of this really shocks me. I just wanted to read this as far as the wording, trying to convince audiences. No one needs to be convinced of anything. Michael Jackson was proven innocent, and he is still innocent. These individuals, and we all know, we've all said this, we've talked about this, the individuals that have gone after Michael Jackson and the Jackson estate for money are doing it, as Johnny Cochran put it, it's extortion. They are trying to just get any little bit of money that they can out of Mike. And it's sad that that's still continuing on in his death. I mean, even when proven innocent, and we are still trying to prove this man guilty. All that aside, the negative things about Mike aside, I think that this film is going to be great. Like I said, I'm ready for this film. It's something I can't wait to see. Michael Jackson is, again, my favorite artist of all time. But as always, question is for you guys. Let me know down below what you guys are thinking. Are you excited for the biopic? What do you think about some of the wording that was used in trying to convince viewers that Michael is innocent? And again, what do you think about it possibly being, I think it is going to be the biggest film that Lionsgate has ever done. If you are a Michael fan, like, subscribe, share with your friends, and I will see all of you in the next video. Peace out.